conservatives, the religious right has compromised its Christian values in order to obtain political power for the Republicans. It is these haters and radicals trying to tear down our institutions, respect our great American flag, and demean our law enforcement. I think for the last 2 years, if anything, it shows that the Republicans should never control all three houses or all three parts of the government. It should never control that. It also shows what they do as far as like the Supreme Court nomination 2 years ago. They waited over a year so that the Democratic Supreme Court wouldn't be nominated, and now they want to rush it through with little or no hearing, with little or no consideration for the people involved, little or no consideration in the investigation. The people have to come out this time at the election in order to overturn what happened 2 years ago, and actually take control of the Congress and get something done. The repeal of the environmental protections, the safety protections, and this whole administration is just out of whack. It's brought hate and discontent in this nation. And I know, Mr. Mayor, you don't like a lot of what I have to say, but you know, it's part of the free speech, but the free speech and the truth of the free speech is very much at play here, because the Republicans are saying, well, nothing's true. You know, reality's not reality. The truth is not the truth. The truth is what they want to say it is. And I think it's a shame that this administration, the government, at this point in time, I think has to be the worst in the last 50, 60 years, even since World War II. And this president praises dictators, the Egyptian dictator, the Poland dictators. That's what this president is. He's a dictator. He's a rich person that never knew what it was like to be poor, never knew what it was like to be disadvantaged. He was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, and he'll never compromise. He rags and tears people apart, you know, and he's just intolerable. And you know, I think this election here is more about, you know, on what the values of this country should be, and it should be not what it was 2 years ago in this election. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. Jimmy was the only one that signed up, but if anybody else wants to step up to the podium, please do. Okay. Thank you. City Administrator comments.
Nothing this evening, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
I'm going to start with you, Shelley.
Just really quickly, probably none of you are on the Williamsport High School alumni Facebook page, but I am, since I'm a Williamsport graduate. And it was really interesting because they had a mega reunion, and every class from 1950 on actually came downtown and supported the local restaurants. So depending on what year you were born or what year you graduated is where you ended up at which restaurant. So I think that that's, you know, speaks volumes for the downtown businesses, the restaurants, you know, to have a county school come and support. I think that's amazing, and I think that it just shows the momentum that the city is getting and gathering for downtown support. And speaking of which, I have to commend you, Emily, the way that you and Vicki Sterling have been able to rally a community around Washington Goes Purple just is amazing. I think that to be able to get and garner all of the support that you have been able to do, and to get us all, I mean, we're all practically wearing purple. We have purple cups, and so it just goes to show that, you know, to take pride in our community and what we're doing, and for us all to get behind an effort, it can happen. So my hat's off to you. Good job.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's it.
I think for a good job, Emily. And talking about pride in communities, I still believe the real backbone of our community is our neighborhoods, and I want to commend staff and everybody who was the neighborhood's first picnic at Time Warren Park last week. It was, as usual, a very nice event. Thank you.
So I just want to use this time tonight, 26 days into our kickoff after Washington Goes Purple, to say thank you to the city of Hagerstown for the support. You know, this initiative, I think for a few years now, we've all been sitting in meetings, banging our heads against the wall, going, how are we going to fix this heroin epidemic? How do we make it better? And it's getting worse. You know, we had 38 deaths last year. We're at 43 already this year through last week. And I think we finally came to the realization of we're not going to stop this problem unless we start talking to our kids. So when we set out to do that, and you know, it was Vicki and Chief Lohr and Paul Fry from the Chamber of Commerce and people from the faith-based community, what we envisioned in our head is exactly what's happening. And that's a really beautiful thing to see a community come together, and for city staff to support it from City Light and Public Works, helping us with all the lighting, Parks and Rec, all the staff that just showed up to all of our events, having Purple Fridays, the online support from the county as well. It's just been a really beautiful thing to watch. So I can't tell you how much it means to me. Just today, we as a committee got to speak to 125 students from across the county that were student government leaders. And they asked the most just genuine, raw questions about how to speak to their classmates if their classmate is using. And then another young man stood up and said, we're under a lot of stress. He said, I go to Tech High and I'm a straight A student and I'm expected to have straight A's and I'm expected to learn my craft and I'm expected to do sports and I'm expected to do this. How do we cope with stress without using a substance? And out of all these rallies that we've had and question and answers we've had with adults, here's this kid that recognizes stress is what often leads people to make bad choices. And it just was a really inspiring moment with these 125 kids that our community needs to hear, and they're getting it. And they want to go back to their schools and implement and talk to their students. And then tonight at the library, there's a youth panel my daughter and I were at before we came here. And it was 4 teenagers that use drugs that are now in recovery, 3 17-year-olds and a 15-year-old, standing in front of their peers at the library, having honest conversations about how social media and social acceptance and peer pressure drove them to use drugs and how they found a better way to cope and how they found a new set of friends. And I just thought how brave of these kids to stand in front of community members and kids their age and have that very honest, brave conversation. So the conversation that we wanted to start, this new conversation is happening, and it's pretty incredible to watch. And the purple will come down next week as September goes away, but we're already in every school in October and November and December, and I think the tide is going to start turning in this community. Will it fix everything? Absolutely not. But will it hopefully make it so 10 years from now, my daughter isn't watching her friends use, or we're not talking about how it's September 19th and we've had 43 overdoses? I think it is going to help there. So again, to city staff and to the city of Hagerstown and Washington County staff, thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping to rally behind this.
Thank you. Austin?
Just a couple of short things. First off, I had an opportunity today to meet with the Chief of Police and the Elks Club down on Jonathan Street, and I wanted to congratulate Chief on, I think we are truly blessed in this city to have a police force that works on problems, comes up with solutions, not heavy-handed in any way, and was very, very pleased with that meeting today and the outcome of it. That was excellent. Second thing was, I had the opportunity late last week to do something I've wanted to do for a long time, which is go down and inspect the old YMCA building just to see what the condition was and if it had held any promise whatsoever for anything that could be done with it. And it was encouraging and disturbing at the same time. On the one hand, it's encouraging that a lot of the newer amenities in there, the pool and some of that stuff, look like they could be reused. The basketball court needs some work, could be reused. Volleyball court needs a lot of work. But I kept envisioning it as, you know, how great that would be as a downtown community center if we could do something with it, if we could, you know, swimming lessons for kids during the summer or in winter with an indoor pool. And it has a lot of promise, a lot of, a lot of things could be done with it. On the other hand, it's disturbing because of the pace at which it's deteriorating. And I think, if we can't find a developer to come in and do something with it within the next 2 years, we're going to have a big problem with that building. And also, I noticed, I was talking with the property manager, and there have been some uninvited guests in the building from time to time that have to be chased out. I noticed a couple of areas where they had pulled paneling and molding off of the beautiful woodwork that remains in there and building fires in the place. And if that thing ever went up, it would be like a tinderbox, and I don't know what we would be faced with that kind of size structure on Potomac, with the church on one side, buildings on the other side of the street. So I'm very hopeful that somebody will come forward with an idea of what to do with that, if we could restore it. I think the time is of the essence. We could still do something with it. If we don't, then we're going to be faced with some kind of demolition, I think, because if it did catch on fire, as I said, with that facade that high, the brick portion of the old structure, that would close Potomac Street indefinitely if it burned. So hopefully somebody will come forward and with a public-private partnership.
Kristen?
Just one comment, and it seems in the last few weeks, I've gotten, whether it's emails or read some comments on social media or some phone calls, and I get it down where I work, regarding the continued, efforts of construction, folks working on the roads and the parks, maintenance issues, and maintenance issues within the communities. And I noted that at the last meeting that I had in the town that I work for, our water and sewer folks to give us a monthly report, and the monthly report indicated two things. One is we've had more than 20 inches more rain so far this year than we had in all of last year. And the second is, as it relates to construction activity, the average construction firm has had only 5 days of continuous work. That means work within the week that continues into the next day without disruption from wet weather over the course of the summer. And so I would just say to folks out there that see the construction workers working 7 in the morning to 7 at night, or the stormwater ponds that are a little overgrown, or athletic fields that aren't as well maintained. It's simply and directly a function of the weather we're having, and just for folks to have some patience and understanding for the folks out there that are trying to get those things done.
Thank you. My turn, and I can only say that I'm going to applaud Emily and the efforts of Washington County Goes Purple for the month of September. I'm glad it's over, because this is my last purple tie, and I wouldn't have one to wear next meeting. So,
Thanks.
but it is a horrific epidemic, not only here in Hagerstown and Washington County, but all over our country, and any and all attempts at trying to work toward a solution deserves all the praise. I can't think of anybody who possibly has an answer to this epidemic, and just knowing that chipping away at it, as you guys are doing currently, and looking toward the future and trying to address our youth of today, I believe is a huge step in the right direction for this effort, so thank you. All right, that's all I have. So moving on, we're going to adopt the minutes of July 10th, 17th, 24th, and 31st, and August 7th, and 14th, and the 21st, and the 28th.
Mr. Mayor, hereby move for the approval of minutes as presented for the mayor and council meetings held on July 10, 17, 24, and 31st, and August 7, 14, 21, and 28 of 2018.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. On the consent agenda, please.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move that all the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Approve an ordinance amend Chapter 197 rental facilities by repealing and reenacting Chapter 197 in its entirety.
Mr.
Mr.
Mayor,
Mayor,
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Ladies first.
Somebody who can read
Thank you.
fast.
I'll take it. I hereby move for the mayor and city council to approve an ordinance to amend the code of the city of Hagerstown, Chapter 197 rental facilities by repealing and reenacting Chapter 197 in its entirety. With this ordinance, the present code provisions will be effective through June 30th, 2019, and the present code provisions plus the following amendments would become effective on July 1st, 2019. Number 1, add dormitory to the definition of rental unit. Number 2, establish a definition for a safety inspection. Number 3, establish license fees for dormitory of $100 plus $10 per room. Number 4, establish inspection schedule for dormitory as an interior inspection every 48 months. Number 5, revise inspection schedule to include rental units that have never been inspected and a tenant turnover has occurred at the property. The inspection shall be a safety inspection if occupied and an interior inspection if vacant. Number 6, add exemption for existing units renovated to Partners in Economic Program standards for 48 months following issuance of UNO permit. Number 7, establish a transfer of a license notification requirement and a fee for failure to make the department aware of transfers. Number 8, revise the revocation language to be consistently applied to all rental properties using a point system calculating the standing of a rental facility. Number 9, require any rental facility license revoked shall be vacated within 60 days of the license revocation. Number 10, authorize the ability to collect unpaid license fees by adding license fees to the tax bill through the tax lien process. These amendments are consistent with the city's vision and commitment for housing and neighborhoods and the community city center plan.
Second.
Discussion?
While I know someone probably said it before Rick Weldon, my friend Rick Weldon used to say, when he was a state delegate in Frederick County, you know you've crafted good legislation when both parties leave unhappy. And I think that this is probably a reflection of us attempting to listen to both staff and the folks affected and coming up with something that's a good compromise. So thanks, staff, for bearing with us.
Anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, the next, under new business, the next one is an introduction of an ordinance authorizing the sale of property located at 2848 East Baltimore Street.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move for mayor and city council to introduce an ordinance authorizing the sale of city-owned property located at 2848 East Baltimore Street to Antietam LLC for the sum of $30,000. The sale will provide the opportunity for approximately $300,000 to $500,000 of private investment to create retail space for Hub City Vinyl and Game Room Garage 2. The sale will be in accordance with all terms and conditions outlined in the attached purchase agreement.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right, the next few ordinances will be smoking at public places, prohibiting sale of goods and services, prohibiting soliciting in the city parks. All will become effective on November 23rd, 2018, but will not be enforced until 1/1 of 19, which is what we all agreed upon to during the meeting. So, but they have to go into effect 30 days after the ordinance is passed. So, first one is introduction of an ordinance smoking in public places.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move for the introduction of an ordinance prohibiting all tobacco products, vaping, electronic cigarettes, and/or ingestion of vaporized or inhaled aerosol products in all parks of the city of Hagerstown except for designated areas of Municipal Stadium and the greens at Hamilton Run.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Introduction of an ordinance prohibiting prohibiting sale of goods and services.
Mayor, hereby move for the introduction of an ordinance to amend the City of Hagerstown Code, Chapter 173, to prohibit the sale of goods and services in the parks of the city unless part of an approved concession lease or city-approved special event.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Introduction of an ordinance prohibiting soliciting in the parks.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move for the introduction of an ordinance to amend the code of the city of Hagerstown, chapter 173-26, to prohibit solicitation in the parks of the city.
Second.
Discussion.
I just want to clarify something. Prior to the meeting, we had some discussions back there about soliciting, and we mentioned that it was talking about sales, which was the last motion. This specifically is talking about soliciting money and other things, correct? Panhandling, is that what we're talking about?
I believe it's soliciting anything, yeah.
Yes, and also clarifying, you look at your ordinance, it's clarifying adding in a public park, garden, playground, or other recreational facility.
Okay, so that's the addition.
Yes.
Everything else is already in there.
Yes, everything else has already been in there, sir.
Anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Next is a resolution authorizing a change to the posted park hours. That change will become effective on September 25th of 18 because this is a resolution.
Mr. Mayor, we move for approval of a resolution to change all park hours from current 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. to sunrise to half hour after sunset, and authorize staff to update the posted hours. The current code, section 173-29, specifically authorizes the city to allow certain events outside of the posted hours of operation, such as special events in City Park or organized recreation activities in Fairgrounds Park.
Second.
Discussion.
Mr. Mayor, you said that the effective date is in.
The effective date for this is September 25th, today.
Okay.
Okay, same thing.
Is there a reason we don't want to implement this until the first of the year?
Only because we have to get the signs changed, so it's gonna take us a little bit of time.
Okay, I'm
Could I-
good with January 1, but I mean,
Well, I'm okay with January 1. Could I just assume that we implement it no later than January 1? I mean, if you have signs, if we had signs prepared before January 1, I don't see any reason.
November 1 would be fine.
Yeah, I just say whenever their signs are ready, especially when you consider in the winter, if we're talking about 10 p.m.
well, right now it's dark.
Yeah,
Doesn't
so,
matter,
so I just think we should tell staff we're not wanting to hold it off until the first of the year.
Understood.
But if you need to, that's understood.
Basically, as soon as we get the signs up. we'll go to work.
Sounds good.
I agree, yeah,
I agree.
I agree.
Okay, you agree. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Amendment to fiscal year 19 CDBG annual action plan, creation of new activity for Potter Field pool rehabilitation.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move for the mayor and city council to amend the FY19 Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan in order to create a new activity, Potterfield Pool Rehabilitation. $174,500 of CDBG funding will be allocated to this activity for needed repairs and upgrades at the Potterfield Pool Facility. Details of the amendment are attached.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of a resolution authorizing entering into a grant agreement with the Maryland DHCD for the Board of Education Expansion Project.
Mr. Mayor, hereby move for the mayor and city council approve the attached resolution to authorize entering into the attached grant agreement with the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development for a fiscal 18 strategic demolition fund award of $300,000 to the Washington County Board of Education Expansion Project downtown.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Resolution authorized entering into a sub-recipient grant agreement with the Board of Education to pass through a state grant for the expansion project.
Mr. Mayor, we move the mayor and city council approve the attached resolution authorized entering into an attached sub-recipient agreement with the Washington County Board of Education to pass through the Department of Housing and Community Development FY18 Strategic Demolition Fund Award of $300,000 for the Board of Education Expansion Project downtown.
Second.
Discussion.
Maybe the reason for the success is we actually haven't named this thing. Typically, when we name things,
True.
And they're not as successful, so.
Good job.
UIP, I don't know what's wrong, we have a name for it. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Proof of resolution executing of a commercial lease agreement with Peter Arizmendi for the property located at 60 West Washington Street, Hagerstown, Maryland.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move for Mayor and City Council to approve the attached resolution authorizing the execution of a commercial lease agreement with Peter Arizmendi for the property located at 60 West Washington Street in Hagerstown, Maryland. The lease will be between the City of Hagerstown and Peter Arizmendi and shall be in effect from October 1, 2018 to September 30, 2019.
Second.
Discussion?
I am really looking forward to watching this transpire, this lease agreement, and watching the activity that he'll be able to bring downtown. It'll be exciting, so, yep.
Anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of the Barbara Ingram School for the Arts Foundation Holiday Lamp Post Decorating Project.
Mr. Mayor, hereby move for the approval of the Barbara Ingram School for the Arts Foundation Street Lamp Holiday Project. For the 8th year, the Vista Foundation is requested to partner with the City of Hagerstown to decorate the street lamp post and City Center by selling sponsorship for personalized holiday banners. Vista is seeking approval to use a lamp post for their program and will take care of the labor to install the banners. Vista volunteers and/or a contractor will follow city guidelines for their installation, and volunteers who sign hold harmless agreements and/or the contractor doing the installation will provide the city with a certificate of insurance.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of federal JAG application.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move for Mayor and Council approval of a federal justice assistance grant application. The Hagerstown Police Department received a federal JAG application in the total amount of $20,381.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of after-school program for the Robert W. Johnson Community Center.
Mr. Mayor, I move Mayor and Council approval for funding of the after-school program at the Robert W. Johnson Community Center. The RWJCC provides a variety of constructed after-school programs to area youth. This program runs for the 2018 to 2019 school year at the cost of $17,940.
Second.
Second.
Did you second it, Austin?
Yeah.
Okay, Austin seconded, sorry. All right, any comment?
I would make just a brief comment. You know, you name places after people for reasons, and for one of the people that's still alive that knew Bob Johnson as well as I did, I would just like to try to tell everybody who has no idea who Robert W. Johnson is that find out. He's a man who is worth knowing about in our community, and it is a man well earned to have a place named after him.
Anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Approval of the priority tree easement with Potomac Edison.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move that the mayor and city council approve the priority tree easement with Potomac Edison, granting them additional right-of-way on their existing transmission circuit located on Water Division watershed property.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Policy for Chapter 197, prioritization of never inspected units.
Mr. Mayor, who Mayor and City Council approve the attached Chapter 197 prioritization of never inspected policy. This policy will guide staff as they prioritize rental units that have never been previously inspected in the rental facilities program. This policy shall take effect on July 1, 2019 to coincide with the effective date of amendments to Chapter 197 rental facilities related to inspections.
Second.
Discussion?
I would only give Lou the credit, even though I read the motion, give Lou the credit for pressing for this prioritization of this program.
Yes, Lou's least we have someone to blame.
We're shifting it over.
Anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Policy for Chapter 197, Safety and Inspection Standards.
Mr. Mayor, I hereby move Mayor and City Council approve the attached Chapter 197 Safety Inspection Standards Policy. This policy will guide staff as they inspect rental units that have never been previously inspected or new rental units in the rental facilities program. This policy shall take effect on July 1, 2019, to coincide with the effective date of amendments to Chapter 197 rental facilities related to inspections.
Second.
Discussion.
Just a brief comment. I think it's appropriate here. I failed to make mention of it earlier. Is congratulations to staff on the notification that we received regarding your efforts to address a problem property that everyone is aware of on Summit Avenue. So
Yes.
thank you guys very much.
Here, here.
Absolutely.
Anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Emily Keller, the floor is yours again.
Thanks. I was all emotional earlier and forgot to say this, but I just wanted to thank Chief Kiefer and Captain Alexander and the Goodwill, Brookett Goodwill, and all the other entities that worked on getting the now infamous people under the bridge into a home. That gentleman that they did that Herald Mail article on, that was a huge success story. That was very controversial topic for several weeks here in the city, but your work is greatly appreciated. And to see that partnership between entities, and I know you guys have been working on it to help other people, was just a beautiful thing, so thank you very much.
Yep, I agree.
Yep.
All right, Emily has the last word. We're adjourned.